Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel for another tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you all step by step how to paint this bicycle lady and a basket of flowers. I'm going to be working on an 11 by 14 double primed and stretched canvas. I'll be starting the painting off with my slate gray. I'm going to completely cover the canvas in gray, dry it off, and then we'll come in with some black and build up some depth down here. We'll add some white for the sun and some clouds. I'm going to start off by using my little spray bottle here and just misting the canvas. This will make the canvas slippery and it'll help the paint spread a lot easier. So just a number 30 Filbert brush or any large brush that you have will work. And I'll just simply take my gray and completely cover the canvas. This makes for a really nice underpainting when you're working with more colors as well. Though today is just going to be a limited palette of black and white. We're going to be painting in a grayscale, and then I'll choose just one or two things in the painting to add a bit of color, a little pop of color, and that's always really fun to do with black and whites. If you haven't tried that before, I guarantee you guys will love it. So I've got some Mars black now, and I'm just going to take a little bit of this, add it to the canvas on the bottom. And I'm just going to start blending it into that wet gray paint. Now, if your gray paint is dry, you can also just go right over top. It doesn't matter. You can add the black to dry or wet paint. Now, I'm going to turn my brush the other way, and I'm just going to start sweeping and pulling straight up and down, off to the side, diagonal, both ways. This is going to be the first layers of the tall grass. The next brush I'm going to be using is my small Filbert brush here, and I'm going to take some white, and I'm just going to start pulling some streaks across the sky. Little scoops. I'm going to make them a little tighter together, overlap, and then soften. So we can get a really peaceful looking layered cloud look by overlapping like this. Lots of scoops, and then a little light pull across. What I like to do for a dramatic perspective, making things look farther away, is by, in this case, clouds, to make it look like these are closer to us, you make them larger scoops. So larger clouds up top, and then smaller and smaller, tighter together. They don't even have to be tighter together, but you want them to be skinnier. And that'll give the illusion that they're farther away. I'm going to add a little sun right about here. So just make a little circle. I'm going to rinse out my brush. I'm going to let this area dry off a little bit. I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to start using a fan brush. Now this fan brush spreads apart and looks like a rake when it's wet. That's exactly the look you want your fan brush to have for this next step and technique and brush stroke. So I'm going to dunk my brush in the water. And I'm going to start off with a little bit of black. The trick is to have a lot of water in your brush, almost so that it's dripping, and you want it to spread apart into chunks like that so that it looks more like a rake. You're going to then turn your brush over, handle pointing upwards. I like to hold my brush higher up on the handle. This gives me a little bit more control. And you're just gonna simply sweep, flick, 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 flick. Remember, we're not out to paint anything perfectly straight up and down. This is messy, a breeze is blowing. We're creating a mood, so movement and a little bit of shakiness is just fine. If you're a nervous painter, you'll master this step right here, no problem. Now, another little thing I like to do when I'm painting tall grass and weeds like this, or like a hay field, I like to turn my brush this way, push just with the edge, this way and that way, change the direction up, just for the top, those little tops, right, of those little pieces of tall grass and hay and weeds. And I like to use the fan brush for this because you get that little, those little wisps sometimes that you get on the tops of those too. Okay, I'm gonna come in with some more black, some more water. I want this area right in here to be quite dark so that our bike and all the highlights really stand out. So for light, you need shadow, and for shadow, you need light. They both need each other to work. Pick up some more water. See how much water I'm using? It's dripping. This really helps get those loose brush strokes and lines that you want. Then we'll add a little bit down below, but we really want to focus on this area now because we're going to be adding our bike there after, and then we're going to be coming in over top with some more grass here. But we can get a little bit more down here first for the initial base. And then what I want to do is go into my white. So again, water, wiggle, wiggle, tap so that it separates. And I'm going to be adding little flicks this way and that way, up and down. Mainly in this region, this section right here. Now with my other bicycle and flowers in the basket painting, I chose red, and that was a really nice fun pop of color. But what I'm leaning towards today, I could change my mind because I am just painting, you know, just on the spot without any reference photo. And so far the color I'm thinking of and that I have in mind right now is lavender. I was thinking that would be really pretty. Maybe she's riding her bike through a beautiful lavender field. Very, very romantic, dreamy like. And we could tie in some lavender shades in the ribbon in her hat, along with the flowers in her basket. Now, you can choose any color that you want. The technique doesn't change. The brush strokes don't change. The only thing that you're changing is the color. Everything else stays the same. So don't let that worry you. It's the same thing. Okay, I'm just gonna tap, 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 tap. Maybe we've got some lavender here. When you're actually in a lavender field, some of them grow really tall So it depends, there's different varieties of lavender, right? Some of them are short little bushes. You get a smaller variety, and some of them, when you're right in a very old matured lavender field, they can be really tall. So I'm just gonna add a little bit like that. Now I can come back to our sun area here, and I can add a little bit more white for the inside, brighten that up. And then what I like to do is just go around. The easiest way is to just line your brush up halfway on the sun or the moon if it was a moon you're painting, and just go around and around and around. Stay away from the center, and it helps to look outside of the circle. That way you don't risk ending up going back inside and going over. So I'll just add a little bit more white there. Take my pinky, soften, and then I'm going to turn my brush over, handle up, just using my little Filbert brush again. Add a few highlights to my clouds here. So I invite you guys to share your versions, whatever color. Maybe you want your flowers to be all different colors in your flower basket. Whatever you choose, I invite you guys to share your versions, tag me in them online. We have a Facebook group. A lot of people are forgetting to agree to the rules and answer the questions. It's Facebook's way and my way. It helps me know that you're not a bot and you're an actual subscriber of mine wanting to follow along with my tutorials and share your versions with all of us. We've got a very supportive, wonderful group. Okay, so it's all dry. I'm gonna switch over to a small round brush. I'm gonna paint the bike right here in this dark section, okay? Again, so that the bars and everything stand out, because we've got this nice dark underpainting, this darker base. And then we're gonna leave this space here to come in with some more flowers or weeds or tall grass. So we'll paint the bike first, then we'll add our lady and have her hat with a ribbon in it, basket with the flowers. I'm so excited. Let's go ahead and get started. You want to get your brush a little bit wet. And what I'm going to do first is just take my black, a little bit of black here on the tip of my brush, and I'm going to add a tire right here. I like to go around and around and around without taking my brush off the canvas. Then I'm going to leave a little space and go over to the other one. I'm going to add a little shadow underneath. Though I don't think we're really going to see that, but we'll just add that anyways. That kind of just gives us a little guide of letting us know that those are not, this bike isn't floating. It's down here on a little pathway in our lavender field. Okay. Then I'm going to come in with the bars. So we're going to have a bar that comes here. We'll add a little circle. We're going to do everything in black first, and then we'll add another bar that goes here. We'll have our seat right here, And the seat will be a little wider there, and then narrower like that. You can just go ahead and paint it in black first. Okay, then we're going to have a bar that comes down first like this, so it holds our little basket, and then it comes down of a bar on the other side. Then we're going to start this one up a little higher, pull across. A lot of this we're not really going to see because once we paint our lady in, a lot of it is going to be hidden. And then we're going to go wrap around, curl up, go over, loop down, little loop, go across, and join. We'll have some little lines that go like this. And then we're going to have a little bar that goes like that, and another bar that goes next to this one, which will be more visible once we add the white for the highlights. Okay, then we're going to have a little handle, the bar that comes up here, and the handles for the bike. Again, this will probably be covered up too because her hand's around here in her sleeve. And then we'll have a basket. So yeah, I like to bring it in so that it's wider across and then it comes down narrower at the base. I'm going to take a little bit of white and I'm going to go across, back and forth. Then take a little bit more white and we're going to go down. Just a really easy, simple way of making it look like a wicker basket. Add a little bit more white right here. Okay, I'm going to come inside with some white and some black, kind of swirled on my brush like this, just grabbing a little bit of each. I'm going to tap, tap, tap. I'm pushing and tapping to create stalks of flowers. So making it look like the lavender. I think a little bit more white will be a nice touch right now. We can just go ahead and add that. Once it dries, then we can come over with our purple. Then I'm going to come in with a little bit of black. I'm going to tap right here at the top of the basket where it meets the flowers. I'm going to add a little bit of a shadow, just very lightly. Pull it into that lighter gray. A little bit of black along the bottom and the side, just so that it really shows up. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of white now to the seat. Now the seat is in shadow on the bottom side. It's brighter on the top. So we're going to go along with the white right there. Wipe off the excess if you have a lot left on your brush. So I just wiped it off on the towel, and then I'm going to just gently gradiate, making it go a little bit darker gradually. And then you can always go back and add more white again after. Okay, I'm going to take some more white. I'm going to add some white over the handlebars. Now you can do this on dry paint or wet paint. Mine's wet right now, and it's a little bit too wet for my liking, so I'm in fact going to dry this off, use my hair dryer, and then I'll come back in and have an easier time of adding my bright white and highlights. Okay, so now that it's all dried off, I'm going to go in with a clean brush. I'm going to add some brighter white on the top of the seat. And the handlebar. A little bit on the side here. Down, 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 little brush strokes, and then across. All you need to do is create a suggestion. Lines and shapes, light and dark, is all you have to think about. Okay, and I'm going to come down here. Loop down. Remember, we're going to have 2 bars here, so these 2 meet very close together. And if you want a tip for an extra steady hand when you're doing these brush strokes and lines, I always place my pinky right on the canvas where I know it's dry, and that really helps. Okay, so now we're going to start right about here with the fender. I'm going to add an outline. The inner tire has a skinny white line, little ring inside of it. I'm going to mix up a little bit of black. I'll make sort of a slate gray color, the background color that we used, and we'll add a little bit of light to the edge of that tire. And go back over to my white. And we'll go right down. Add a little circle around that bar. Okay, then I'm going to pull up and then let off. So we're going to have some shadows underneath the seat bike, or the seat on the bike. Okay, and then I'm gonna just come down here. Over. Go over all of these areas here. I'm gonna add a little circle right here. A line across. Now this one's in the back. I'm gonna just simply go over with some black to go over there to make it look like, not this one's in the front, it's on our side, but this one is on the other side of this tire. And we'll correct that in just a minute. I'm gonna add the fender. Okay, we're just gonna go over that again. Follow what we drew out first with the black. Okay, we'll add that white ring around the tire. Take some more black without washing my brush out. Stop right there. So now that bar is in the back again on the other side. I'm going to take off some of this fender because I brought it down too low. This will be covered up with some grass anyways. A couple little lines right there. Taking some more white. Now we can work on the spokes. And I'm just going to use one of my long liner brushes. Make sure you get it really wet. I'm going to take some white or light gray. Light gray or just straight white will show up really well. You want to make sure it's really, really wet though. Thin the paint out. And then I'm just going to go around and around, making different lines. Remember, we're just out for an artsy look, not anything super perfect. Not a photograph. I'm going to take a little bit of light gray again, and I'm just going to go underneath the seat, just like that. And just sort of clean up any edges that may look a little too dark or too light. And this mid-tone, this gray, does a good job of sort of just camouflaging all those little imperfections. I'm going to come back up here now and add some more white, just straight titanium white, no water, just a smaller circle inside of the other circles. I'm going to add some more dabs of white. What you do want to make sure you remember to go over this bar here after you do the fender, because this bar is in front. The fender is in between these two bars, of course, right? So even though they're both white, you can see the line after it dries. You'll be able to see that, and it just won't look right. I'm gonna add just a little bit more white right down here. We'll go over that again, and then a little circle. Somebody was asking me in the comments yesterday, what do you do if you make a mistake and you don't want to, you want to be able to remove it and correct it without ruining the rest of your painting. Right here, I just made a mistake. I like to leave that in my videos. I don't want to edit it out, because this is a crucial part of learning how to paint, is knowing how to fix those mistakes. So I just accidentally got some white in between the bars where I don't want it. It's still wet, so if it's still wet, you can gently take it off. That's one way, or you can paint over it. So what I would do is match that color up, which is just the gray. Just come inside. So it's really easy. If it was dry and you couldn't scrub it off, then you would just paint over it. Just match the colors of the paint that were there before you added it. And it's easy enough to do. So don't let that ruin your day. If you have a mistake on your painting, you can definitely fix it easily. If you're still not sure, just leave a question below or connect with me one-on-one on Patreon. I can give you guys some more detailed advice to help you out along the way. I'm going to take just a little bit of this fender off, make some gray, cut a little bit of that off there. Okay, now we can start painting Our Lady. And I think because I had her wearing a hat in my last one, I'll just show you right here. This is the painting I did yesterday. I have her hat on her back hanging over. I think it would be neat to kind of just have the hat sitting back here. So I'm going to paint the hat black first, and I think I'll just have it just laying flat here. So we'll start with a rounded square, just very simple and basic. Okay, so rounded square, and then you're gonna loop around. So it looks more like a floppy hat when you add that loop and make it a little bit kind of like ruffly looking and swirly. Then I'm going to take some white that's going to make it sort of gray, and I'll come around, loop, get inside the hat. And because this is flared up, it's going to catch the light more there, but we're going to have a little bit of a shadow, here underneath. So just add a little bit of black. Okay, now I'm going to take a little bit more light gray. I'll come around the side, bring it up. And then get this part of the hat. And we'll add a little ribbon after with the purple. But right now I want to start painting Our Lady, and I'm going to use black to start. That will show up best, and then we can add our highlights after. So her waist is going to be right in the middle, the handlebar and the seat, and her skirt is going to come a little bit straight here and then flare out. I'll get a little bit of water on my brush. So we want to round it out a little bit here for her bottom, and then flare. We're gonna, although it's not very visible because I'm painting black on a darker background, we're just gonna make it a little bit choppy looking on the bottom. So you're not just gonna go straight across. The reason being is that we want to create folds in her skirt and light and dark shadows there, so it makes a big difference. Okay, so I'm just gonna go and paint this all black. I want to paint it black again so that we not only cover up the bike, we don't want that to be visible through her skirt. So that is one reason it covers that up quickly and easily. And what it also does is give us a nice dark base for some dramatic contrast. Okay, then we're going to come in with her shoulder right here. Her shoulder's going to come down and up, and her hand is going to be somewhere here. I'm not going to really see it, so don't worry. Shoulder. And her back. You see a little bit of her shoulder on the other side, and then it comes in. And she's going to be wearing very loose, sort of ruffly white blouse. Shoulder, and then her breast comes out a little bit there. Okay, then we're going to have her hair and her head, an oval. We can have a bun in her hair like that. I'll bring her bottom out a little bit to balance out the shirt. You can have her hair wisping a little bit, little loose hairs. And then we'll bring her hair down. We'll also have like a loose braid coming down too. But we need to paint her clothes first, and then we'll do her hair after. So I'm gonna paint her legs right down here first. I'm gonna take some white, and it's mixed into like really light, soft dove gray right now. So we're gonna have one leg, a little wider here, and then it's diagonal, gets narrower here. And then we're gonna have the other one narrower here, wider, now this one, this foot here or shoe is going to be covered with grass. We're going to see just a little bit of this one, so maybe she's got like an ankle boot, so we don't want her ankles to look too skinny, but we want the boot to be a little bit wider. And then we'll bring it down, so this is the ankle area, and then this is going to be the heel. It's just creating a suggestion, so don't over fuss or detail too much. I'm gonna go just under her leg there, under this one too. I'm gonna add shadow on that side. Gonna make the back leg a little bit darker because this one's covering it, this one's in front of it. And then we'll add a little because that gray blends into the background color, I'm going to add a little bit of black. So I'm going to add even more black so that I don't lose any of this when we come in with our flowers or grass in the front. Just a little bit more here under the basket. Okay, now we can start coming in with the skirt, and I'm going to be using a flat brush for this. I've got this one here. You could even go a little smaller. I wouldn't recommend going any wider or larger than this. I'm going to start with some gray. Just make a light gray. And I'm going to go from the bottom, pull, and then twist. Get a little bit of water on my brush. And then you want to leave a space and add skinnier lines coming from her waist, and then have them wider down here. Now the reason why you want to leave some spaces between is for where those folds and in her dress are. So just gradually adding more white. I'll come in with a little bit more black. And just sort of sneak in a few more folds. Okay, I'm going to go back over to a little bit of white with a clean brush. And I'm going to add another highlight. Add some more white, so you can turn your brush this way to get in those narrow areas and make skinnier brush strokes and lines, and then turn it the other way for the wider ones, right? Add a little loop on the top of the hat. You know, there's a little indentation on the tops of the hats. And then I'll just sweep around the side. Add some light gray in here. We're going to come in and paint the shirt now. I'm going to go back over to my little round brush. So I dried this off and I'm able to come in and add the white. So I'm going to just add the line for her chest here, little triangle, and then go down her back, get as close as I can to the dark line of her waist. Her shoulder, and then we'll just add a little bit, a thinner layer over there where her hair is going to be. The side around her waist, her breast, and then we're going to make her arm, inside of her arm, brighter, so her shoulder goes back to her elbow, and then thinner, and then her hand is somewhere here over the handle. I'm going to do next is take a little bit of black and add some lines where we have these folds. It's just a little pattern on her dress. I'm finish with a little shadow down here. And I'm going to add a little bit of black right now for the braid down her back. So the braid, we're just going to start scooping, crossing, scooping, and then just have it smaller, smaller, smaller. Then I'm going to take some white. It's going to mix in with the black. And we'll just go around the side. Scoop. I'm going to pull a little bit more black in with this because I really actually like the way her hair looks dark with the gray background. So I just want to soften that a little bit. I'm going to just come right in here over this part of the bike and take off just a little bit of that white off the bike seat. Bring it down, dip it down a little bit lower right there. I'm going to add a little bit of white, just a very small amount here, just to the side of her face. A little line that goes right there, her cuff, and her wrist. I'm going to add a little ribbon that goes around, and a little bow. Just a little hint of a ribbon here. Just gonna add a little bit, round her calf out a little bit there. And I'm also going to add a little ribbon around her hat. So just a little line like that. Add a little bit more white. Okay, so just before we add our purple, I'm gonna go back to the fan brush and I'm gonna add some white grass in the front. Just a little water, some white or light gray. Remember those gentle little flicks. We're gonna bring some up around the base of the bike tires. Then I'm going to take a little bit more on the tip of my brush, tap, tap, tap. I'm going to go over to my liner brush. Get some gray and black on there. And just pull and flick for some long pieces of grass. You really shouldn't have to apply a lot of pressure when you're doing this. If you feel like you have to leave a mark, then that means that you need to have a little bit more water in your brush along with some paint. I'm just going to scumble a little bit more down here for a little bit more shadow. And then I'm just going to soften, 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 scumble and soften with my Filbert brush, just to slightly blur some of this up because I think that looks so dreamy and just really dreamy like. I love that. It makes that a little bit out of focus. Use a combination of my Neon Luminous Rose. This is very similar to Magenta or Quinacridone Violet. So if you don't have this, and I know a lot of you watching right now don't, then use Magenta or just mix a little bit of hot pink with a little bit of blue. That takes me to the next color. I'm going to be adding a little bit of light blue violet with my Neon Rose. Okay, so here they are. Got way more paint than I need probably. I'm going to take some of that blue and the rose together. And just go over the parts of the painting that I want to add the color to. The ribbon in her hair. and on her hat. Now if you want, you can make some lighter tones, some softer tones like this, and add a little bit of a highlight. You can add little hints of this to some of the flowers in a blurry way, so be a little scumbly. I'm going to go back and add a little bit of white here on some of the lavender. Soften and highlight. This has such a kind of old-fashioned feeling to it that I really love. I think I'm going to go hang this in my bedroom. They say lavender helps you sleep. Maybe looking at this will help me sleep a little bit better too, and dream about being in a beautiful romantic lavender field somewhere in France. I'm going to add just the last highlight of straight white to her blouse here. And a little bit on her hat there. Okay, this painting is all done. This was really fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. You want to paint along, be sure to check out the links below this video for the full list of colors and brushes as well. Link to Patreon, our Facebook group. You can follow me on Instagram. And I want to wish you guys all the best in your painting journey. Sending you love and healing. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all the support. And I'll see you soon in my next video. Bye!